This is a 1 pound pack of Polymorph moldable beads. I was sent these to review for free. If you wanted to purchase them, it would cost you about $16 for a 1 pound pack. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. So in the outside protective packaging, we have this interior packaging, and we have these beads here that are pretty small. You know, they're like not exactly grain of rice, kind of short grain of rice sized. And what you do is you heat these guys up to 60 centigrade, so less than the boiling point of water. And they recommend you just get a pot of water and pour these in a pot of water that's almost but not quite boiling. And then when they all stick together, you take it out of the water. And these guys don't absorb water, they just have water kind of stuck to the surface. So you wrap them in a towel and get all the water off, and then you can mold it. They've also shown pictures of people hitting it with a heat gun to get it moldable as well. So it says 1 pound plus present 10%. The whole package is 1.14 pounds, so it does look like they're giving you just a little bit more than a pound in here. The instructions here say bring some water up to close to boiling or to boiling, pour the beads into it. When the beads turn transparent, you pull it out of the water. Be careful because it's still hot, and start molding it. They say to use non-plastic containers because while these are hot, they will stick to things, especially plastic, so like glass or metal, and then utensils that are like metal utensils. So the top of this container appears to have kind of a zip locking style locker connector at the top, plus tabs where you rip it open. So there's no ingredients list. I don't know what type of plastic this is exactly. They don't say anything about toxicity, so I'm assuming it's relatively non-toxic. I still don't recommend you use cooking utensils for this. I think you should have a dedicated crafting pot and crafting spoons for it. Alright, I have my non-cooking pan here heating up some water. It's not quite boiling. We have a non-cooking spoon, a set of paper towels to kind of dry it off, and I'm going to be attempting to make a thumb screw for this bolt. Okay, so this water in here is 189, 190 Fahrenheit. That's 90 centigrade, so it is definitely hot enough because it only needs to be 60 or 142 to melt this stuff. So I have turned the heat off so that water is not going to get any hotter than it is now. And I'm going to pour some beads in. And some of them are floating on the water, some of them are stuck to the bottom. I can see them turn clear. The ones on the bottom especially have turned clear. The ones that were sitting up off the top are not clear. It is sticking to my spoon. And there's a few, I think, floating around. I think I got them all. So this guy is clear now, and it is sticky. It's sticking to my spoon better than the pan, which is good because I want it out of the pan. So I'm going to take this lump out, and they say to smush it to get all the spots off. Now I'm running into my first problem, which is I almost stuck it to the paper towel there, but it did not get stuck to the paper towel. I could see yourself burning your hands on this stuff. It's not super hot right now, but it is very messy. It kind of sticks to your fingers a little bit, not dangerously so, but not as much as I'd like. Okay, so it's starting to get a little cooler, and now the quality of the device you get is going to be based solely upon your skills as a clay modeler. And I have a lot of stuff here kind of stuck to the spoon, which I'd like to get off the spoon because I want to use a spoon for other things instead of just thermoplastic molding. But it's stuck to the tip there pretty good. The working time seems to be pretty good. It's longer than I was expecting. Alright, I'm going to give up on the stuff stuck to the napkin there. I think maybe a towel that didn't have fuzziness, like just a piece of cloth, woven cloth, without like things sticking up. I definitely have stuff stuck to this spoon. Well, shouldn't have put this on the towel, that's for sure. Alright, now I'm sticking to the paper towel. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm getting paper towel embedded into my part. All right. Okay, so don't put it down on anything like paper. I'm hoping this glass style cooktop will be a good surface for it. That seems to mold it into a flat shape and come off relatively easy. So I'm happy with the working time. You have plenty of working time. It's still clear. It's cool, not cool, but it's barely warm to the touch. It's not at all hot. So, you know, you could cool this off and give it to a kid and they could play with it after it was cooled off, but you definitely need the parental supervision there. This piece here is still a little moldable, still a little clear. I'm trying to pick up some of the other pieces with it. It seems to be sort of working there. I'm able to roll over the spoon, and the spoon is pretty smooth as, you know, metal objects go, and I'm able to pick up some of the plastic that's on the spoon with this other piece. I'm actually going to put the spoon back in the water. We'll heat it up, and my hope here is that the pieces of plastic on the spoon are going to be very malleable and sticky, and they'll want to stick to this piece that isn't quite as hot. I could be wrong about that. We'll see. But yes, definitely you're not going to be doing this with any utensils that you want to eat off of after the fact. I mean, I believe it's a biodegradable, non-toxic polyester type plasticky thing, but you definitely want to keep your crafting utensils separate from your eating utensils. Now you can see over here my bolt has fallen over, so my bolt started moving. So you need to pay attention to things because it's not going to hold that up on its own. This guy, still clear-ish, but it's getting more whitish. I'm just going to roll it into a ball. You can reuse this by reheating it, so I can just throw this ball back in the bag and reuse that later. This guy here is still moldable, so I have to leave that there for a while. I pretty much decided just to sacrifice this paper towel. So paper towels are not the right drying medium. So I poured the water out of this, used the paper towel to wipe it down. I think there's a bit of plastic stuck to the inside there. It's hard to tell because this is my catch-all pan for any crafty type stuff. Plus it's a really old non-stick, so there's a lot of, you know, gunk and stuff in there anyways. But I think some plastic got stuck to the pan. So I would definitely caution you not to use any pans you want to use again for non-crafting purposes. Now this guy down here is not yet solidified. It's holding its shape a little better, but it's still wiggly. So it looks like you have a decent amount of time to work the material. Even when it starts getting a little bit cloudy, it's very workable here. I assume if I put this in the freezer, it would solidify faster, but I'm just going to let it sit here at room temperature. Now with the spoon, it's smooth enough. I've basically been able to hit it with my fingernail and it looks like I'm scraping all this stuff off. There's probably a little tiny bit of residue here and there. So again, you know, dedicate some spoons and pots to this type of crafty stuff if you're going to be doing it. So it's been another 5 minutes and this is just slightly warm to the touch. Not easily bendable. I don't want to bend it too hard, so it's mostly holding its own shape, but it doesn't really feel solid yet. This ball here, if I push on it, it resists me pushing into it, so this one feels a little more solid than this guy here. I can kind of push into some of these areas here. So I'm going to let that sit probably another 20 minutes or so. Alright, it's been sitting another 10 minutes. It feels a little flexible, but I believe it's returned to room temperature. So it definitely feels strong enough for this. I'll have to go try screwing it into something to make sure of that. But basically, you can make anything that your crafting, clay sculpting abilities will allow. Alright, there's definitely just a little bit of residue of the plastic stuck in the bottom of this pan here. So this guy has been out of the hot water for probably about 4 hours now. It's solid white. It's not going to get any stronger than this. And I'm running out of the threads here. So I can kind of bend it if I push on it hard. It is definitely allowing me to put some torque on this guy. Let me really yank on it. Okay, so right there, I am popping it past the hex heads on the bolt. So it's slipping on the bolt, but it hasn't like really broken. I'm trying to see if I can get it off here. So that material is pretty darn strong. I'm deforming it. I'm going to be able to get it off, but I'm having to work at it. All right, so I got it off the end of the bolt there. You know, that plastic is flexible to some extent, but it's pretty strong. And kind of the neat thing about this is it's reusable. You can throw this back into boiling water and then reform it. Now, if there's any dirt or grime in there, it's going to look a little dirty or grimy.